Okay, what you're looking at here is a road atlas of the 100th anniversary from 1924 to 2024. This is something you should have in your vehicle. I'm sure everybody's raving about that movie where it was the end. The first things to go in any situation is your cell phone. You'll notice that with anything, tornadoes, hurricanes, bad weather. We get it here. I mean, we could be following our GPS and a heavy rainstorm with hail comes in and the cell phone goes. It's gone. And there ain't nothing you can do. A lot of people pull over and wait for it to come back, and some people are just prepared. Now, the odds of you needing one of these is very rare. This covers United States, Canada, and Mexico. It has them all, and it does the whole thing. You're going to know exactly where you're going. This is a mileage chart that you're looking at. But if all hell breaks loose and that cell phone goes down, your GPS is done. You're not going to know where you're going in the U.S. You got one humongous big map here, and then it starts breaking down in the states, and it's in alphabetical order. This is all Alabama, Alaska. Take your pick. All the major highways, roads, parks. Um, some of these states break out into 3, 4 pages. Some are just two. Then you get into metropolitan areas, and you won't be lost. So, what you're doing with this is you are buying this 25, 26 bucks, and when it comes in, you're going to put it in your vehicle. Now, I would also suggest you pick up some highlighted pens to go with it so you can highlight the direction you're going. But, everybody's all gung ho to have, packs, sleeping bags, and everything else. But if you got a full tank of gas and you're in your vehicle with your family and you don't know where you're going, you're just going to waste that gas. Where now you got to pull this out of the back seat or wherever you've got it, the trunk, don't matter, and open it up and figure out where you're going, in what direction, and where you got to go. Where's your bug out location? I mean, if you don't have some really good maps, Texas is in here, everything. You're not going to go to where you need to be. And how many of you have one of these in your vehicle? I bet you most of you don't. If you got one, chime in, tell me at the bottom. Hey, I got one. I've had one for years. If you don't have one, let me hear who has one, who don't. There's Canada. If you're crossing the border into Canada or Mexico, it's got it. So you're not going to be lost. And to me, that's kind of important. You know, you could see how far from, major cities you are. It would be nice to know if you're driving 8 o'clock at night and you see these major cities coming up. You may decide to pull off into the wilderness for a little bit and in the morning head into the big city. Or you may decide I need to find ways around the big city. Because when your cell phones come to an end, you're not going to have a clue what you're doing. When I was 12 years old, I would sit in the passenger seat with my dad, and we'd be going to our fishing spot, which would take a good 6 hours, our camping place. And he would depend on me to tell him where to go, what exits to get off. I would say we're coming up on an exit soon. And I would keep track with this map on my lap. It was an atlas just like this. At 12 years old, we knew how to read a map. I will bet you any money that most of our younger generation does not have a clue. They're just completely stupid without their phones. And that's sad. Most don't even know how to use a compass. Without that GPS on their phone, they're done. So that tells you when that phone goes down, A lot of people are going to die simply because they don't have the education they need. And that's the sad part. You need to know how to read these maps. You need to know east, west, north, south. You need to know what's going on. How to read a compass. Very, very important. If you don't have that, then you're just going to travel around in circles. Have you ever try turning off your cell phone and driving down some roads you've never driven down before and see how easy it is for you to get off? After you make 2, 3 turns, you're going to be completely lost, is what's going to happen. Now, at the same time, when you buy this, and if you don't, you're just a new kind of stupid. Um, it's okay to have your phone on and your GPS on, but you should look at this and see if you can keep up with your phone or where you're going and watch how this all intersects together. Very, very important. If you're married, teach your wife to be a good map reader while you're driving. Even your kids. Because if all of a sudden the cell phones go out and your wife looks at you and says, well, how are we going to get to where we're going? I don't know where we're going. We always use GPS. You'll be able to look at her and say, hang on, I got you. And she's not going to sit there with her mouth open and not even know how to read it. And it's not that hard to read. It really is pretty simple once you find, where you're at. The highway numbers are there and everything. So once you know that, it's quite easy to go where you got mile markers along the road to keep track of how close you're getting to your cities and where everything is. State parks, It's nice to have a lay of the land and what direction you want to go. If all of a sudden you do have your radio on and a nuclear factory explodes and they tell you that, the wind is traveling east and your cell phone's not working, well, you can get this open right away, find east and say, okay, we can't go that way. We need to go west. And you can start plotting the direction you want to go. And you just might survive what's happening to you. And that's the real interesting part about all of this. But like I said, I knew how to read these since I was 12 years old. I used to drive transport years ago. I hauled steel. I did it for 5 years. Couldn't stand that job. And we didn't have cell phones then. We actually ran off these maps, and that was the only way we went. So most companies actually would have you go to certain places, and you would just go to the same places over and over and over because you really didn't need a map now. But since GPS came along, now they can send truck drivers just about anywhere. And of course, many truck drivers went to different places, but a lot of companies tried to stick to the same company, so there was less problems. But it has it all. New Jersey, Texas, Tennessee, you name it. And most people don't even consider buying these anymore. And that's sad. Once you buy one of these, they're good for 10 years. I mean, they do put new roads in and stuff like that, but for having some form of a direction in case the GPS or the phones go down, they are completely unreliable. Even where I go hiking, there's no cell phone service. There never is. Sometimes I could walk for 4 or 5 hours before I get 2 bars, and I'm lucky if it does. I have to know how to use my compass like the back of my hand. Sometimes old school is way better. But I have a link in the bottom to buy one of these. And when you do, throw it in your car, your vehicle, and teach the people in your vehicle that are normally with you all the time how to read this, where they're going, and just to get the hang of it. So that way you're not wasting gas and you're getting to your destination quickly with the least amount of gas as possible. Go pick yourself up an atlas. I'll catch you guys later.